So good morning, everyone. Welcome to Istanbul and to ICI premises, where we have a hidden treasure. This is a sunken Roman bath, which dates back to some 1600 years before our times, to one of the senators of famous Constantine the Great, whose name was Philoxenius, because he promised those senators that he would give them free space to build their palaces, and he would give them free grain for the whole year. So they came here. He built his palace, where today we have the old Justice Palace remains. And next to it is the 1001 pillar cistern. And then this is the extension of the cistern, which is a Roman bath dating back to some 1600 years before our times. So in this hidden treasure, I want to explain to you the highlights from Anatolian history and Turkish carpet history. Of course, our story begins with Yarımburgaz caves, where the date is 800,000 years. Mehmet Özdoğan is the professor who is currently digging the place. And for those of the people who have never been there, it's about 20 minutes to the airport in Istanbul, and that is the oldest location in Europe. And we have some findings in the Archaeological Museum of Istanbul showing it to be 400,000 years. But recently, the latest excavations have shown us that these two caves, the upper and the lower caves, go back some 800,000 years before our times. You can easily call them the Flintstones of Istanbul. Then Yeni Kapı, which is some 8,500 years old, and Yeni Kapı, we have some 37 sunken ships as a result of a tsunami. And basically speaking, in the tsunami, we have some findings, and if you really want to taste an 11th century pistachio, it's still fresh, because it was left under the tsunami in the mud for the last 9 centuries. Anatolian history should start with Göbekli Tepe as a sanctuary, where we have some 12,000 years of history near Şanlıurfa, Turkey. This is the first man-made temple, where you see in the middle 2 of these T-shaped pillars. The bottom part of the T-shape is some 5 meters tall, and it weighs 19 tons. It's incredible how they not only excavated, but they also shaped the pillars with decorations like animal figures. And if you want to see animals with 3 dimensions, you have to go to Göbekli Tepe. Everyone thinks 3-dimensional figures begin with Renaissance, which in Italy is 14th century, which in Saint Sophia is 10th century, but here it's 12,000 years ago. So we have discovered a part of human history which has baffled everyone. This is 7,000 years before the pyramids, 7,000 years before the major findings in England today, and it is the oldest location, some 500 years even before Jericho ever existed. Next one is Çatalhöyük settlement. The mother goddess figurine is in the Ankara Museum, Anatolian Civilizations Museum, and the bull's horn design, and this is approximately 10,000 years ago. Then we go into the legendary city of Troy. Brad Pitt from the 2004 movie and the horse, which today is in Çanakkale, along the seafront. But unfortunately, the treasures which were discovered by Schliemann happen to be in Pushkin Museum in Moscow today. Of course, the Germans want them back, the Greeks want them back, the Turks want them back, but Mr. Putin would like to keep it there for the time being. Then comes a very interesting agreement, which is between the Turks and the Italians. Now, the Italian historians have discovered that the heritage of Italians today, everyone thought, would only go as far as the Romans, the Etruscans. However, they have discovered that a man by the name of Aeneas, who fled out of Troy, 1275 BC, with his old father, they went to Italy, to a place called Nemi. Nemi is about an hour outside of Rome, where the Pope has Castello Gondolfo on the lake in Nemi, a summer residence. So the historians have come to Troy in 2003, and they signed this saying that they are brothers with the Turks. Have you heard anyone telling you until today, this moment, that we are related with Italians? I hope one of our tourism ministers one day will go to Italy and say, brothers, why don't you come to Turkey? The next ones are Hittites. The first peace treaty signed by the Hittites and the Egyptians. The Kadesh Treaty, which is in the Archaeological Museum. And then here we have the Lion's Gate at Hattusha, which is with some 50,000 people, a great location near Çorum, and Boğazkale and the Lion's Gate, 3,900 years ago. Gordian follows it, the tumulus of King Midas. Everyone visits it thinking this belongs to Midas. This actually belongs to his father, King Gordius, where the name Gordian comes from. The hippocampus, which is finally brought here from the United States, which was taken out illegally, along with one of the first coins minted by Croesus, King Croesus of Lydia, between 560 and 546 BC. Of course, that's the city of Sardis, the Greco-Roman heritage, with this beautiful gymnasium, the Temple of Artemis, one of the 7 churches of Revelation, going back to 2,600 years before our times. Also, side by side, we have the beautiful synagogue in Sardis. That actually is the largest synagogue outside, with the exception of the one in Jerusalem. So this is a huge synagogue, some 26, well, this one actually is 2,300 years old. Then, 2,300 years ago, we have the beautiful library of Celsus in Ephesus, and the beautiful theater where Paul was supposed to make a speech. The silversmith's riot took place right here. And so this is a very, very important theater with some 25,000 spectators. Dating back to the same period, which now is in Berlin, the Temple of Zeus of Pergamon was illegally taken out in 1890. And it's in a museum in Berlin. It's known as the Museum of Pergamon in Berlin. That period comes to an end with the beautiful Saint Sophia across the road from here. And that is 2,300 years ago, turning into a mosque eventually, and lately, in the last almost 80 years, becoming a museum, which is what we have today. The following period in history is the Selçuk period. Tiles, woodworks, bronze works, but carpets. Some 18 carpets, which are now in the Ibrahim Pasha Palace, the Islamic Fine Arts Museum in Istanbul. And if it wasn't for that German ambassador in 1905, who said to the people, "Why do you still keep these carpets on the floor? They are the original carpets of the mosque dating back to 1221. And so 1221, Konya Alauddin Mosque is what we're talking about. So if he hadn't said that, we wouldn't have put it on the wall, and those carpets would not have lasted until our times. Marco Polo, the great man, historian, traveling from Venice all the way to Peking in 1274, returning, and the Ottoman period that follows it with the Topkapı carpet that I just showed you, the book itself, which is, some of it are presents from Persia, and some of it is from Turkey. Some 80 carpets are in that museum. And of course, Europe is famous with Turkish carpets, especially with painters like Hans Holbein. Now, this is a keyhole design. This is a Bergamo carpet. And then we have another Uşak known as Lorenzo Lotto. This is the one in the Metropolitan Museum in New York. This is how the painter has depicted it in the 16th century. A very important collection of Turkish carpets happens to be in the Black Church in Brașov, Romania, inside which you have 103 beautiful Turkish carpets from Selendi near Uşak. And we have a beautiful book showing all these pictures. One of those carpets is the Chintamani design, sold to Philadelphia Museum of Art, and the replica of which we have created. It's a clone replica of these 17th century carpets. So if you feel this one and any of these, they feel identical because of the cloning process. That's a very difficult process, by the way, and the reason why I chose this Chintamani design is Chintamani is a Chinese cloud design that came from China into Iran first, and the Chinese lost the battle to Iranians, so this was taken as war booty from China to Iran. And when the Iranians lost at Chaldiran, Yavuz brought all the war booty to Topkapı Palace, and that's why we have the beautiful Chintamani design porcelains in the kitchens. That also gave Uşak people a brand new design with which they decorated their carpets. So you see, designs are transported. They don't belong to a particular nation or to a particular person. Until the last 30 years, when now we have what we call designated patterns registered to certain companies. Nobody else can use it. If they do, then it's a great fine they have to pay, because it would be copying their design, and that would be illegal. And that goes also the same with textiles. So this is the Chintamani carpets. Now, one of such nations or tribes that use Turkish and Asian designs are known as Navajo peoples. These are American Indians, as you know, living in New Mexico, Arizona, especially there's a city right here which is called Tuba City, T-U-B-A, and Tuba means happiness. So they're not only using the designs like the ram's horn design, like the cross design, or like the tree of life design. This is a Navajo rug, this is a Turkish Kayseri carpet using the same design. Because it is the same culture. Why? Because of that journey of men I just told you about. The DNAs of all the people living in the world today come from 2 Y chromosomes. We're all brothers and sisters from Africa, for your information. And racism, by the way, is not just scientifically wrong, but it is socially divisive. That is the final word of this Journey of Men movie. Why this movie is important, not just for genetics, but also the design of the deer, the reindeers, that happens to be on the first carpet that was made by the Turks 2,500 years ago, which now is in Russia, in Leningrad, in the museum. So we have Iranian Gabe carpets here, which are nomadic carpets, Turkish nomadic carpets, and the nomadic way of life in the Taurus Mountains. And then here we have a man called Marchand de Tapis, a carpet merchant. This is how they used to be, which they still are. But basically the difference between them and this institution is, this is the mine where you are with the carpets. This is the export house. So all the carpets that are produced in Turkey and outside, they come here before we export them. So nowhere else can we buy them cheaper. This is the place of production. So it is the mine of carpets, everyone. And that's the difference between us and these guys. The next four pictures are with Hereke rugs. Hereke is world famous, by the way. 1890s is when this big carpet was done by all these ladies here, which is now in the Chalet Kiosk in Yildiz Palace. It's 406 square meters. It's approximately 5,000 square feet, by the way. And the famous one in the Vermeli room in the White House. And then in Dolmabahce Palace. These are all Hereke rugs. Now what ICI Carpets has done, we have won 6 magnificent carpet awards. The last one being the 2016 Sivas Silk Carpet is this year's collection. So we were able to win for the magnificent work the ladies were able to do and the producers of these carpets. We cannot thank them enough. Of course, we have a huge collection of patchworks. But the final thing I want to show you is why Turkish carpets are collectibles. I'm not saying any other Oriental country whose carpets are collectible. And I'm not just saying that, but the Fortune magazine 1989 is saying that. So what are collectibles? This Domenichino's Rebuke of Adam and Eve, 17th century painting, in 1989 was $3.5 million. That's a collectible. The next one is Petrus wines. A case of 1970 Petrus went in those years for $5,400. But the 1961 vintage will be 3 times more expensive. It's exactly like handmade carpets. They may come from the same town. Some may be brand new, some may be 25 years old, some may be 100 years old. The price will be tripled through the years. Like vintage wine, that's why this Turkish carpet, 100-year-old specimen, Mucur carpet, was rated in those years as $12,000. And then, the last thing, of course, being an American magazine, is a Cadillac. When it was brand new, it was for $5,700, but in 1989, it was rated to be $75,000. I'd like to thank you for your wonderful audience. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to ICI premises. Now I'd like to give you a little bit of information regarding the depot operation that we have. This is an export depot of some of the most exquisite carpets in the world, with which this company has won so far 6 Atlanta Magnificent Carpet Awards. I will show you one of the awards very soon. But before I do that, our story begins with the Pazarık carpet that is now on display in the Leningrad's Hermitage Museum. A carpet that is approximately 2,500 years old. It was found by the Russian archaeologist Rudenko in 1947. And we have the replica of that beautiful carpet. And basically, you can see horsemen riding on horses. Some are walking next to the horse. If they're walking right next to the horse, you can see the whole carpet over the horse, over the saddle of the horse, because it was, in those years, traditional. When the people died, they would be resurrected someday. And that's why they buried everything the people had with them, all their belongings, including his horse. And of course, it's like being buried in our times with our credit cards, hoping it will work when we come back, but that's not really how the story takes place. So, when he will be resurrected, he will not have the carpet where he left it, possibly speaking, but I may be guessing. So the end result is, it has some lotus flowers in the middle depicting Osiris, the god of resurrection from Egypt. So this is a beautiful carpet, a replica of the one which was made by the ladies belonging to our institution. Now this is an all-wool carpet, by the way, very, very beautiful, rich with lanolin, and the more you will wash that carpet, it will shine in time, and it will be a long-lasting carpet because of its lanolin content. Of course, in ancient times, people made carpets to sleep on. So this one is where you begin to see the Turkish double knot when you break into the carpet. Each one of the knots is a double knot, and you can actually carry the weight of the whole carpet by that one double knot because it is strong, it's not coming out. And this was like a blanket to cover them in ancient times. In the world of carpets, finale, there are two knotting techniques. Thank you. The Turkish double knot is shown here at the bottom, the ones with red, and the Persian single knot is knotted and twisted on the adjacent warp thread. These are your warps, these are your wefts. And it is the Turkish double knot wrapping twice on two adjacent warp threads is what makes it stronger. The more you pull it, tighter it gets, and longer it lasts. This is how kilims are woven, by the way. The basic differentiation between a handmade carpet and a kilim is kilims are woven, carpets are knotted. Other than that, if rugs are made by hand, they can never ever be duplicated. Even though the same girl has made these two rugs in a row using the same loom, if you measure them, one is about 3 centimeters longer than the other. And the reason for that, they will beat down each line of knots when it is finished. And some days she is happier, some days she's not. So if she beats it harder, the carpet will become shorter. If she doesn't, it will be longer. So there is no way a handmade carpet to be identical, not by size. By size it cannot be identical, but by pattern it can be identical, again with differences, because they are unique and cannot be duplicated. Whereas the ones that are made by machines can be duplicated by the thousands within minutes. And of course they're not knotted, but they're tufted. So when you break into the pile of a tufted carpet, It comes out as a V format. Can you see it? If you have cats, they will enjoy your machine-made carpets because they will finish them in no time. All right? They love to play with it. But if they play with your handmade carpets, the more they pull it, tighter it gets, and longer your entertainment will last. These are identical in size, whereas the one underneath is different because it's handmade. Of course, some rugs are nomadic, like this one. Nomadic designs because of nomadic people using them for nomadic lifestyle. Whereas some of these rugs, like this one here, this one is a Samsung, one of our very special brands with which we won several awards, made of wool on cotton. This one is floral design. Now what's interesting about this carpet, now this right here is November 2013. The original one of this carpet was sold in the United States for $34 million. But this is all silk, and it's from the 16th century. This is the replica, wool on cotton, so it's not that price. I'm not going to quote you prices, but this would be delivered worldwide at the United States, let's say, for $40,000, to give you an idea. This is like an 8 by 11 in size, in feet dimensions. This is what has given us the beautiful, magnificent carpet awards. This one is one of the awards we won. In Atlanta, the magnificent award-winning carpets. We have 5 of them right here. The 6th one we won this year, also in the United States. We don't have the trophy yet, but we have the carpet here. Yo, it's a Sivas pure silk carpet. The beauty of this, it's like a pashmina when you let it go. You've probably never ever seen a silk carpet this fine with this texture. So it is the texture that has given us, other than the design, this beautiful award this very year. Now, of course, carpets of Transylvania are very important. From the Black Church, we have these 2 replicas. But when you feel this carpet here, it feels exactly like the ones in the Black Church, which are from the 17th century. So how come after 400 years, we were able to duplicate a carpet that feels exactly like 400 years? It's called cloning, and that's what has given us all these awards with the Magnificent Carpet Awards. And ICI has been able to clone the very original carpets in our times. For example, we have from the very same group, the Chintamani group of our rugs. This one is also from the Black Church. And there is one in Philadelphia Museum of Art from the Black Church. But we have 2 of these made here, produced by hand, replicating the cloning process of the 17th century. The Chintamani design is an interesting design. Originates in China. It went to Persia by wars as war booty, and the Persians lost it to the Ottomans. So as porcelains, they arrived in Topkapi Palace, which then were transferred onto carpets of the Uşak group in the 16th and 17th centuries. That's why Chintamani is a very special group of our rugs. And then we have these two beautiful carpets. One is wool on cotton, and that's a Samsung Garden of Paradise design. And the one next to it is a kumkapı pure silk carpet with the same design. It would be very difficult if you can find this carpet other than places we sold in the past. You will not be able to find this in any other carpet store other than this very place, which is like the mine of carpets. The final thing I'd like to share with you is another carpet, which is this very carpet. Açıyoruz. Böyle tutuyorsun. Açıyoruz bunu. And this one...
İleriyi açalım mı?
Aç ben oraya. This one is 13 square meters. Çek kenara çabuk, biraz hızlı. 13 square meters hızlı. And it is a trellis design. Now, 1/3 the size of this carpet, which is 3.92 square meters, was sold in Christie's, New York in 2007 for $4,450,500. Tutuyoruz havaya numarayı. Now, we'd like you to have a look at this beautiful carpet from a distance, and you can see the change in the sheen and the beautiful design it has, like the almond design in the middle as a central medallion. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a brief presentation from our very big collection of carpets. You can reach us by email. If you go to our website, www.icihali.com, then you will see our collection. And if you want to reach us by Skype, you can, and we would be more than willing to show you the rest of our carpets, send you pictures, so you can do your online shopping here at ICI Carpets. I would like to thank you for your wonderful audience. Thank you very much.